I stand alone in Aunt Vivian's cavernous foyer, staring at the wall of Prescott glory. 5 generations of men in expensive suits glower down at me from their gilded frames. Each portrait announces another titan of industry, another visionary, another Prescott who matters. Not one woman appears among them. My fingers tighten around the strap of my deliberately unremarkable handbag as the click of designer heels approaches on marble. I don't need to turn to know it's Aunt Vivian. Her perfume something French and exclusive, announcing her before she speaks. Rhea, darling, still hiding in corners? She materializes beside me, resplendent in a crimson dress that probably cost more than what my family believes is my monthly salary. Still playing secretary at that little company? Blake could get you a real job with a future. I manufacture a timid smile, the one I've perfected for these occasions. I like my position, Aunt Vivian. Of course you do. She pats my arm with cool fingers. It's nice having simple responsibilities. Not everyone is cut out for the boardroom. The grand house swells with the sounds of the annual Prescott family reunion, crystal glasses clinking, performative laughter, the constant drone of business talk. Success in this family has always been measured in acquisitions, in corner offices, in crushing competitors, in being a man with the Prescott name. Come along, Aunt Vivian commands. Blake is telling everyone about the Carver industrial acquisition. Brilliant move on his part. I follow her into the gathering, my heart drumming against my ribs. If only they knew that the mystery firm blocking their predatory takeover of Carver Industrial was mine. If only they could see that the secretary they dismiss has built Orion Strategies into a $6 billion consulting empire that outmaneuvers them at every turn. The memory surfaces unbidden. 11 years ago, standing in this very room, fresh MBA in hand, my business restructuring concept laid out before the family patriarchs. My hands trembled, then not from fear but from excitement. I believed they might finally see me. Uncle Martin's laughter still echoes in my nightmares. Ambitious, aren't you? But this isn't how it works, Rhea. Start as a receptionist like tradition. Women don't lead companies, they support the men who do. That night, I made a vow. I would build my empire in absolute secrecy. Let them think I'm nothing while I become everything. Rhea. Blake's voice yanks me back to the present. He towers over me, his smile sharp as a paper cut. Just the person I wanted to see. I make myself smaller, shoulders curving inward slightly. Me. Those client contacts at your firm, I could use them. Carver's management is being stubborn about our offer. He lowers his voice conspiratorially. I could mentor you, you know. Show you how real business is done. For a dangerous moment, I consider dropping my facade. Instead, I straighten my posture, just a fraction. My position gives me a unique perspective on how businesses actually function. It's surprising what people reveal when they think you're just taking notes. Something flickers across Blake's face. Confusion, perhaps. I've gone off script. Right, he says, recovering. Well, think about those contacts. I drift toward the dining room where the family has gathered. Uncle Martin holds court at the head of the table, pontificating about market trends. I offer a quiet observation about shifting consumer patterns, but my voice evaporates in the air between us. Seconds later, Blake makes the exact same point. The table erupts in appreciative murmurs. Blake? Uncle Martin raises his glass. You've always had remarkable insight. I sip my water, swallowing both it and my response. Speaking of insights, Blake continues, flushed with encouragement, that mystery firm blocking us on Carver Orion Strategies. Nobody knows who's behind it. My pulse quickens, but my face remains placid. I've heard whispers, he says, that it's run by some woman with a grudge against traditional business models. Uncle Martin scoffs. Then we'll crush her twice as quickly. No woman has the stomach for what it takes to win in this arena. Laughter ripples around the table. I allow myself a small smile, letting them mistake it for agreement rather than what it truly is, the first tremor of an earthquake they don't yet feel coming. A memory flashback from 3 days ago while I was at my office. The intercepted email from Blake glows on my monitor, its words burning into my vision like acid. My hands shake as I read. To the board of Carver Industrial, I strongly advise against any further discussions with that mystery firm Orion. Their restructuring approach would dilute your company's value before our acquisition. Remember, Prescott Ventures has friends in every financial institution that matters. Don't make enemies where you need allies. I grip the edge of my desk, knuckles whitening. Not just a threat, but Blake knows something. The next paragraph confirms my fears. Our analysts have identified unusual patterns in Orion's leadership structure. Someone is deliberately obscuring ownership channels. We're close to piercing that veil. Close. Too close. But it's the attached presentation that truly ignites my fury. Detailed plans for what they'll do to Carver after acquisition, slash the research division where most female engineers work, terminate the mentorship program for women in manufacturing, replace the female CFO with someone from our network. This isn't business. This is methodical erasure. I forward the email to my secure server, then rise from my desk. My private office at Orion spans the entire top floor of a gleaming downtown tower, all glass and power and everything my family believes I'll never achieve. But tonight, I need somewhere else. The key feels cold in my palm as I unlock the door to my first office, the cramped space above Nishimura's ramen shop that I've maintained for 11 years. The familiar scent of soy and steam rises through the floorboards as I flip on the single lamp, illuminating walls covered with photographs and newspaper clippings. I trace my fingers across the faded headlines. Henderson Manufacturing, 2016. Family business shuttered after Prescott acquisition. Marina Technologies, 2019. Pioneer female CEO steps down following hostile takeover. Westlake Innovations, 2022. Research team disbanded after Prescott restructuring. For years, I've documented every Prescott conquest, telling myself I was studying their techniques. But tonight, with Blake's email fresh in my mind, the pattern emerges with horrifying clarity. I pull out folders, spreading contents across my old desk. Financial reports, personnel changes, board minutes, all legally obtained through Orion's consulting channels, company after company. Female leadership, systematically dismantled. I check acquisition dates against board compositions. Prescott Ventures targeted companies where women held senior positions at a rate 3 times higher than industry average. Post-acquisition, female executives were ousted within 6 months, always with generous severance packages tied to ironclad non-disclosure agreements. My throat tightens. This isn't just Uncle Martin's old-fashioned sexism. This is strategic, deliberate, and damn near provable. My phone vibrates against the desk. Madeline, my COO, calling at 11:30 p.m. I answer, keeping my voice even despite the evidence surrounding me. Rhea? We have a situation. Her tone carries the weight of genuine concern. That new analyst in operations, Reynolds? His cousin works at Prescott Ventures. He saw the company photo from last month's charity gala on our website and recognized you. My heart stutters. What did he say? Nothing yet. He asked Simmons about you, casually. Wanted to know if you were just an assistant or something more. Ice slides down my spine. One careless photo. One curious employee. My carefully constructed walls could collapse overnight. If Blake discovers I'm Orion's founder before we close the Carver deal, I don't finish the sentence. We both know what's at stake. 11 years of work. The safety of Carver's 4,000 employees. My ability to outmaneuver Prescott Ventures when they don't know who they're fighting. I've taken down the photo, Madeline continues, and I've restricted Reynolds to projects unrelated to Carver or any Prescott matters. I press my fingers against my temple. That's temporary. If Blake starts actively digging, you'd have to come forward on your terms or risk being exposed on theirs. The weight of the decision settles across my shoulders. Stay hidden and continue wielding invisible power, or step into the light and face my family directly. There's one more thing, Madeline says, her voice softening. I've implemented the last of those security protocols you requested. All internal documentation has been secured. Photos, organizational charts, anything connecting you directly to Orion's leadership, it's all protected now. A small victory, perhaps the calm before the storm. After ending the call, I stand at the window overlooking the quiet street below. A young woman emerges from the ramen shop, laughing with friends, unaware of power struggles happening in boardrooms that will shape her future opportunities. As I sealed the last security protocol, I wondered, should I remain in the shadows where I've built my power, or step into the light and force my family to face what they've created? The safety of secrecy had protected me for years, but perhaps it was time for the truth. What would you do when facing those who dismissed your dreams, stay hidden, or reveal your strength? And back to the dinner with my family. Blake's voice booms across Aunt Vivian's mahogany dining table, drowning out the clink of sterling silver against fine china. I'm pleased to announce that Prescott Ventures will complete the Carver Industrial acquisition within the week. My fork freezes halfway to my lips. The buttery salmon turns to sawdust in my mouth. The board has been reluctant, Blake continues, straightening his monogrammed cuffs, but they've come to understand our position. Uncle Martin nods, a satisfied smile spreading beneath his perfectly trimmed mustache. I've called in several favors with their major investors. Sometimes people need a little guidance to recognize the best path forward. The crystal water glass in my hand trembles slightly. I set it down before anyone notices. My carefully calculated timeline just collapsed from months to days. Their leadership will be entirely restructured, of course, Blake adds, glancing my way with such casual dismissal that I taste copper. That stubborn CEO keeps talking about company legacy and employee welfare, as if those matter more than shareholder value. I offer a meek smile. That sounds impressive. Later that night, I pace my apartment's worn hardwood floors. Files and financial projections cover every surface: my dining table, coffee table, even portions of the floor. The analog clock on my wall ticks past 3:17 a.m. The city sleeps while I wage war. My eyes burn as I analyze projections on my laptop screen. If Prescott leverages their connections on the financial board, Carver's directors will fold by Thursday, 4 days. I have 4 days to counter 11 generations of Prescott influence. My phone buzzes. A text from my COO. Blake Prescott reached out directly to Carver's CFO, threatening regulatory investigation if they continue association with questionable firms. That's us. The walls of my modest apartment close in. I've built Orion over 11 years, all while maintaining this exhausting charade. My family believes I live here because I can't afford better on my secretary's salary. They've never suspected this unremarkable building houses the headquarters of their most formidable opponent. I open my bottom desk drawer and pull out a leather-bound journal. Inside, meticulous documentation of every Prescott acquisition over the past decade. Companies gutted, pension funds drained, communities destroyed. Each page holds names, dates, and consequences: real people whose lives were casualties of Prescott business strategy. I add a new entry about their tactics with Carver. My handwriting grows jagged with suppressed rage. My reflection in the window startles me hollow-eyed, hair escaping its practical ponytail, yesterday's blouse wrinkled from too many hours of wear. The constant vigilance exacts its price. Each family dinner requires perfect calibration, appear competent enough to avoid concern, but never so capable as to invite scrutiny. Morning brings no relief. I shower, dress in my deliberately unremarkable clothes, and prepare to face another day of strategic duplicity. At the office, a knock at my door surprises me. My assistant, Gwen, stands there with 2 coffee cups, a rare smile brightening her normally serious face. She hands me 1 cup. On it, scrawled in her precise handwriting, "World's best boss." Not that anyone would believe me if I told them, she adds with unexpected warmth. For the first time in weeks, genuine laughter bubbles up from somewhere inside me. The sound feels foreign, almost alarming in its authenticity. The moment vanishes when another knock echoes through my apartment that evening. My mother stands in the hallway, her expression unreadable. "I was in the neighborhood," she says, the lie hanging between us. I usher her inside, hastily gathering papers from the sofa. Not fast enough, her eyes catch the Prescott Ventures logo on a document. Rhea. Her voice carries a weight I rarely hear. "What are you doing?" The silence stretches between us like a live wire. Finally, I speak. "What does it look like?" She picks up a spreadsheet detailing Prescott's hostile takeover patterns. "It looks like you're either planning to destroy your family or join them." They're not mutually exclusive. The bitterness in my voice surprises even me. Mom sighs, sinking onto my sofa. "You've always been more than they see. But is revenge worth losing your family?" "This isn't revenge, Mom." I gather the Carver industrial documents, holding them like a shield. It's justice for all the businesses they've destroyed. Her eyes, so like mine, hold steady. "I know what Orion Strategies really is, Rhea. I've known for years." The floor seems to tilt beneath me. How? A mother knows when her daughter is hiding something extraordinary. She reaches for my hand. I've followed every success, every acquisition. "I'm so proud of what you've built," but terrified of what happens when they discover the truth. You never said anything. My voice catches. Neither did you. She squeezes my fingers. We Prescott women have learned to keep our power quiet, haven't we? Next morning, at Orion headquarters, my team assembles in the conference room. They don't know I'm fighting my own blood. They see only their leader, the woman who built this company from nothing. My COO distributes the Carver presentation folders. My legal team finalizes contract language that will bind Prescott Ventures if they try to circumvent us. My financial analysts sharpen projections that will demonstrate our superior offer. Not one of them knows my last name. Not one questions my authority or talks over me in meetings. They followed me through impossible deals, trusted my vision when conventional wisdom said we would fail. In my private office, I finalize my presentation, the one that will reveal Orion's true scale, and my ownership of Prescott Ventures shares, acquired through shell corporations over the past 5 years. The final document, a thick binder detailing 11 years of Prescott's questionable business practices. My insurance policy, my weapon. I change into a tailored suit the color of midnight, apply lipstick the shade of confidence, and step into the executive elevator. The doors close. I'm ready. 2 days later, I arrive at Orion's offices 2 hours before the scheduled meeting, when the 32nd floor still holds the hushed anticipation of early morning. The expansive boardroom, with its wall of windows overlooking Boston Harbor, waits silently for the drama about to unfold. My heels click against marble as I methodically circle the gleaming table, placing a specific folder at each seat. The red ones containing the most damning evidence I position at spots reserved for Uncle Martin and Blake. For Aunt Vivian, a burgundy folder filled with transcripts of her backroom deals that destroyed 3 female-owned design firms. The evidence took years to compile, but revenge, like fine wine, improves with age. The weight of the moment settles on my shoulders as I adjust the presentation screen one final time. 11 years of hiding in plain sight, of building my empire while being dismissed as inconsequential. Today, the masquerade ends. A gentle knock interrupts my thoughts. Theodore Carver enters, his silver hair catching the morning light. His eyes widen slightly at seeing me arranging the room. Miss Prescott, I thought. He pauses, then understanding crosses his weathered face. Ah, I see. I extend my hand, no longer making myself smaller. Mr. Carver, thank you for trusting Orion Strategies with your company's future. You're the mystery CEO. It's not a question. They have no idea, do they? My smile feels sharp enough to cut glass. They will shortly. Over the next hour, the room transforms as my executive team arrives, each nodding respectfully as they take their positions. At precisely 10 o'clock, the elevator chimes. Through the glass walls, I watch my family approach Uncle Martin, leading with his characteristic bullish stride, Blake scrolling through his phone, Aunt Vivian's crimson suit, a battle flag of Prescott dominance. Their confident expressions falter momentarily when they see me standing inside. Blake recovers first, his smile patronizing as he enters. Rhea, playing receptionist today? He chuckles, glancing around at the assembled executives. The adults need the room now. Important business. Before I can respond, Theodore Carver rises from his seat. Then perhaps you should leave, Blake. Miss Prescott is the one we're here to meet. The silence that follows feels like oxygen being sucked from the room. I move deliberately to the head of the table, the power position Uncle Martin has occupied at every family gathering since I was a child. Please, take your seats, I say, gesturing to the chairs with their waiting folders. We have much to discuss about the future of Carver Industrial. Uncle Martin's face darkens to a dangerous shade of red. What is the meaning of this? Rhea, explain yourself immediately. I'd be happy to. I press a button, and the wall screen illuminates with the Orion Strategies logo. I'm Rhea Prescott, founder and CEO of Orion Strategies. For those unfamiliar with our work, we specialize in protecting companies from predatory acquisition attempts. I pause, meeting each family member's gaze. Like the one Prescott Ventures has been planning for Carver Industrial. Blake's mouth opens and closes without sound. Aunt Vivian grips her designer handbag with white knuckles. As I watched their faces transition from confusion to disbelief, I wondered, should I show mercy to family who never showed it to others, or should I proceed with the full weight of what I'd discovered? Business was business, after all. The door opens again, and my executive team files in, each carrying additional materials. My COO, Daniel, steps forward with the confidence of someone who knows exactly how powerful we are. For those just joining us, he says, sliding comprehensive reports across the table. Orion Strategies currently manages $137 billion in client assets with a 95% success rate in restructuring vulnerable companies. He nods toward the Prescott contingent. We've been monitoring Prescott Ventures' acquisition practices for some time. The patterns are concerning. Uncle Martin slams his hand on the table. This is absurd. We are here to discuss. You're here, Theodore Carver interrupts, because I invited you. After seeing Miss Prescott's evidence of your planned hostile takeover, I decided a direct conversation would be more productive. The projector switches to a detailed timeline of Prescott Ventures' acquisitions over the past decade, alongside the subsequent dismantling of those companies. Each entry highlights the female executives who lost their positions in the aftermath. Aunt Vivian's carefully composed facade cracks. The slight tremble in her manicured hand as she reaches for her water glass betrays her. For decades, she's positioned herself as the exception, the one woman the Prescott men respect. Now she sees the truth. She's simply been useful to them. Blake frantically checks his phone, his fingers stabbing at the screen. Our stock, he mutters, eyes widening, is experiencing some volatility? I finish for him. The market tends to respond when questionable business practices come to light. I remain standing, drawing strength from my full height, rather than shrinking myself as I've done for years. I've prepared a restructuring proposal that would allow Prescott Ventures to transition from acquisition predator to business partner. You have until 4 p.m. today to accept my terms. I slide the final folder, navy blue, the color of power, toward Uncle Martin. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, every journalist in the financial sector receives copies of everything in those red folders in front of you. Uncle Martin's face, usually flushed with confidence, now pales as he opens his folder. For the first time in my life, I watch uncertainty flash across his features. Business was business, after all, and today, business is very good indeed. Uncle Martin clears his throat, his fingers adjusting his silk tie as the boardroom silence stretches uncomfortably. The confidence that usually radiates from him has dimmed to a desperate flicker. Behind him, the Boston skyline glitters in the afternoon sun, a fitting backdrop to the power shift unfolding in this glass fortress. We're still family, Rhea. His voice carries a forced warmth that never reached me during our holiday dinners. We can work together now that we see your potential. I notice how Blake shifts in his Italian leather chair, fingers drumming against the mahogany table. Aunt Vivian's perfectly lined eyes narrow slightly, calculating even now. The family tableau before me feels both familiar and foreign. Their expressions betray what their words never would. Family. The word tastes strange on my tongue. Interesting time to remember that connection. Uncle Martin leans forward, lowering his voice conspiratorially. There are unfortunate family secrets that might damage Orion's reputation if they became public. Corporate scandals can be so messy. The threat hangs between us like smoke. Is that really the road you want to take? I ask, my voice steady. I lift my tablet and tap the screen twice. The boardroom display illuminates with a document that makes Blake's face drain of color. 18%. I let the number land heavily. That's how much of Prescott Ventures I've acquired from minor stakeholders over the past 3 years. People you've underestimated. Just as you underestimated me. Uncle Martin's mouth opens, then closes. For once, he has no quick retort. I stand, moving to the screen. The projector bathes me in blue light as I continue. With the proxies I hold from sympathetic board members, I'm 3% away from controlling interest. I tap again, revealing a second document. If you refuse the merger terms I've proposed, I'll take that control by end of business today. Blake lurches forward. You can't possibly. I learned business from watching you, Uncle. I turn to face him directly. I just chose to build rather than destroy. My fingertips trace the edge of the conference table as I begin walking around it. The simple act of movement of not staying in my designated place visibly unsettles them. Prescott Ventures has a reputation for corporate raiding. You strip companies for parts, discard their workers, and sell their assets. I pause behind Aunt Vivian's chair. My vision is different. I want to transform Prescott from a predator to a partner, one that revitalizes struggling businesses instead of cannibalizing them. The room falls silent as I complete my circuit, stopping at the head of the table. Perhaps you'd like to hear some familiar voices, I say, tapping my tablet once more. The speakers crackle to life with Uncle Martin's voice from 11 years ago. Women don't lead companies. They support the men who do. Next comes Blake from last Christmas. Maybe we can find you something in HR, Rhea. Something more suited to your temperament. And finally, Aunt Vivian just 3 months ago. Poor Rhea never had the ambition to make something of herself. I let the last recording fade before speaking. There are dozens more. Every dismissal, every condescending pat on the head, every time you spoke about me as if I weren't in the room. Blake's jaw tightens. You've been planning this for years. 11 years, 3 months, and 16 days, I confirm, not bothering to hide the precision that has always defined me. Since the night Uncle Martin laughed at my business proposal. The Carver CEO, who has been watching silently from the corner, finally rises. He straightens his jacket, a power move I recognize, and walks to stand beside me. Carver Industrial is officially announcing our exclusive partnership with Orion Strategies, he states, his voice carrying the weight of finality. Miss Prescott's approach aligns with our values. We're not interested in being dismantled by Prescott Ventures. Uncle Martin's face reddens. This is business, not personal. It's always been both, I counter. But here's the difference between us. I didn't have to break your company to beat you. The statement lands like a physical blow. For the first time, I see actual fear in my uncle's eyes, not of financial loss, but of irrelevance. The board will never accept this, Blake sputters, but his voice lacks conviction. I glance at my watch. They have until 4 o'clock to vote on the merger proposal. My terms are generous, considering the alternatives. I gather my materials with deliberate movements, refusing to rush despite the adrenaline coursing through me. Years of hiding have made me a master of controlling outward appearances. I'll be in my office upstairs when you're ready to finalize the paperwork. I nod toward my COO. Thomas will show you out if you decline. As I reach the door, my phone vibrates in my pocket, then again, and again. The screen fills with notifications, messages from various family members who've just heard the news. Rhea, please call me. We can work this out. This family needs to stick together. Let's talk before you make any final decisions. I silence the phone and step into the hallway, leaving behind the family that never saw me and walking toward the company that always has. I stand at the head of the polished mahogany table in the joint Orion Prescott boardroom, no longer hunching my shoulders or softening my voice. 6 months have passed since the merger, and the weight of pretense has lifted from my posture. The Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative will launch next quarter, I announce, watching heads nod in agreement, the same heads that once swiveled away when I spoke. We've already identified 30 female-led startups for our first mentorship cohort. Blake raises his hand instead of interrupting. A small victory that still surprises me. The budget seems aggressive, he says, tapping his tablet screen. But your projections on returns look solid. I don't flinch at the challenge. The numbers speak for themselves. Supporting women in business isn't just equitable, it's profitable. Uncle Martin, now merely a board member without controlling interest, studies me with newfound respect. The man who once laughed at my MBA proposal now takes notes when I speak. Later that evening, I climb the familiar marble steps to Aunt Vivian's mansion, but this time my knock carries authority. When the door swings open, my aunt's eyes widen at my confident stance. Rhea, punctual as always. Her tone lacks its former condescension. She loops her arm through mine, leading me toward the gathering. Blake was just sharing thoughts on the European expansion. The same crowded room, the same crystal glasses clinking, but everything has shifted. As Blake outlines his proposal for new markets, I listen without shrinking. Interesting approach, I offer when he finishes. Let's explore that further with the international team. He nods, a flicker of surprise still crossing his face when I engage as an equal. My youngest cousin, Eliza, approaches hesitantly, clutching a business plan. Would you look at this sometime? Mom says I should ask Blake, but I thought maybe. I'd be happy to, I say, remembering all too well how it feels to be dismissed. Tuesday afternoon at my office? Eliza's face brightens, another small revolution in the making. The next evening, I host a small gathering in my original office above the ramen shop. The space remains untouched, a cramped reminder of our beginnings. My core team crowds around the scratched table where we plotted our first victories. My COO raises his glass. To Rhea, who taught us all that true success comes from building something lasting, not by tearing others down, but by lifting them up. The words settle in my chest, warm and right. 3 weeks later, I stand on a stage, accepting the Women in Business Leadership Award, spotlights illuminating my face. In the front row, my mother's eyes glisten with unshed tears. Behind her sit board members who once couldn't remember my name. Headlines flash on screens throughout the venue. The hidden CEO who built a billion-dollar empire. The irony makes me smile. Back in my office, I place the Crystal Award beside a framed photograph of that tiny ramen shop office. The journey from there to here measured not in dollars but in authenticity. As I look at how far I've come, I wonder if my greatest victory was in changing my family's business or in freeing myself from needing their approval. Is true success measured by wealth and power, or by the courage to stand alone for what you believe? What would you choose as your measure of success? The answer, I realize, shapes every decision we make and every company we build.